We told you we're going on the road and we're doing a lot more field work for you. Road to Autonomy. Today, we're in the Permian Basin, as you can see, the absolute middle of nowhere. They have potholes so big they could swallow a Cadillac. I'm not giving you a Jaws analogy. I'm giving you the ground truth here. While we were in the Permian, you're going to see we visited Kodiak. Went to several depots, met with their partner, Atlas Energy Solutions. Oh, and a little tidbit, Asset Energy Solutions owns the Kodiak trucks. They're operating it as a autonomous driving as a service business, not owning the assets. Got to inspect the depots. Compare the depots for autonomous trucking in the Permian Basin to robo-taxis. In this wonderful country and experiencing it, what's going on. Learned all about the oil fields. We're going to bring you lots of great stuff. Here's the episode, Road to Autonomy, live for the Permian Basin. As always, driver out, fully autonomous. That was a Kodiak truck hauling fracking sand in the middle of the Permian Basin. Before that sand got there, it had to travel over 42 miles with an elevation change of over 320 feet on the Dune Express. That's what you're looking at right now. The belt that you see is 36 inches wide and traveling at 10.2 miles an hour when the sand is moving. How much do you think it can haul? 72 truckloads of sand an hour. When you arrive at Atlas Energy's facility, you may be mistaken if, oh, wow, I'm in the middle of the Arabian Desert in North Africa. No, a matter of fact, you're in the middle of the Permian Basin. Sand dunes galore. You could film a movie there if you wanted to resurrect the ghost of Cecil B. DeMille. It's all there. Why is that important? Because that is where Atlas Energy Solutions does sand mining. Yes, there is such a thing called sand mining, where they refine the sand and get it ready to send to the fracking sites. 42 miles on the Dune Express, which you just saw. And when the sand arrives at the end of the Dune Express in eastern New Mexico, it is greeted by autonomous Kodiak trucks, ready to take the sand dynamically to the next well where it is needed. From paved roads to dirt treacherous roads, as you can see, the Kodiak truck is traversing from pavement to off-road on its way to the well site in mixed traffic.
The roads, they're not really roads. It's a bunch of gravel packed on top of each other. The operation depots that we work at, it's not necessarily buildings. Every aspect of our operations out here is completely abstract from your normal day-to-day environment, right? So we have trucks passing by nonstop 24/7. It's just never ending with how the differences occur out here. When I came out here, I almost felt like I was in the military again, completely abstract from your normal operations as, your daily work happening. So it's really different in almost every way possible, I would say.
If you look at like what we have here, all of this exists with or without us being here with the Kodiak driver system. This is how Atlas Energy Solutions runs their normal fleet. And what it is, you see a depot there, and this is where they do the basic maintenance on all of their standard fleet, all of the trailers, all of the dollies, everything it takes to be able to make day-to-day operations work. But it's a very dynamic environment because if you haven't, please go look at a map. The Permian is huge of where they cover, what kind of well sites they do. So everything here has to be designed mobile because if the business moves, they have to be able to move with it. So these are all designed to be able to strip down, move to another location to be able to service a fleet that might have higher volume in certain areas. One of the challenges we had in partnering with that is like, how do we go from a very structured environment like what we have on our on-road preparation into, man, we've got to have somebody working on a sensor pod or doing that type of maintenance of a vehicle, which is standard, except out here where the winds are blowing 30 miles an hour and you encounter dust storms and you're working on a dust floor. And I think that's what really speaks volume to how we built the system of that modular design, those sensor pod swappability, the compute, things along those lines, because in a very harsh dynamic environment like this, the ability to be able to have quick service times and maximize up times and being able to work in this type of environment that literally could change next week is paramount to a customer.
How hard is it to move the depot? And when you move the depot, the most important question, do the sensor pods go with you?
Yes, absolutely. So the great news is we don't move the depot. Again, this is the customer that moves it. So for us, it's super easy. We just like follow them, right? But whenever they're going to take it to another location, all of our services and all of our support just follows with them. What we need for our support is a simple trailer. Think of a construction trailer where our product support team exists out here to be able to support the product. And outside of that, the customer's taking everything with them. So when it comes to the sensor pods, when it comes to everything else, it's just like moving the toolbox. They move those parts and components down to the next place they're going to operate.
One thing that I've noticed here, this depot I'll call is a hybrid depot. You have human-driven trucks, you have regular strategic assets, and then you have the Kodiak trucks. How do you intermingle those assets from a depot perspective?
Well, the simple answer to that is you have to, right? In this type of environment, you can't go from the manual driven assets to a 100% autonomous asset. You have to have that basically gradient of like, where does it make sense and things along those lines. So how you're able to execute that is, again, build a product working with the customer with that in mind, with that scalability roadmap in line of saying, we're going to do these strategic jobs and this strategic mission with autonomy to benefit the company most, where in these circumstances, a human driver in these type of circumstances makes the most. And it's basically a core product requirement of like, how can this operate side by side with a human driven asset? Because that's the way the world works out here.
How should we think about these depots? Is it, do the trucks, the autonomous trucks come in to get refueled? Do they come here to sleep? Do they come here to get launched?
Yeah.
How should we think about this? And ideally, the Permian is hundreds of miles, goes over multiple states. How many depots ideally do you think Kodiak needs when Kodiak gets to scale? I know you're not going to ask of your customers, but you're focused on operational uptime.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of going to be driven by the learnings we have now and the learnings we're going to have in the near future around the idea of like, how many trucks can this depot actually maintain? Once we start bringing autonomy into that, again, the repair levels have to be able to be done by depot personnel. So I wish I had a more direct answer, but it really boils down to of the density of trucks of where they're at is going to determine the level of depot they need and how big they can scale. And because, you know, hopefully with lots more autonomous trucks out on the road, they can start bidding more jobs and getting more work, and then it expands. And of course, I think you would need more depots. But again, that's a customer-owned asset, not ours.
From a operational standpoint, how vitally, critically important are depots to the operations of autonomous trucks in the Permian Basin?
It's incredibly, because if you look at where we're located here at Depot 6, anything within nearest to be able to get work from like a facility, like a truck facility or anything along those lines is hours away. To be able to get parts shipped out here isn't something, hey, I'm going to run down to the local dealership and grab the part. It has to be planned. It has to be scheduled. So with the dense environment you have out here where everything, I swear, everything takes an hour to get to or more. Like nothing happens faster than that. These depots are extremely vital to be able to say we can grow into this harsh environment with very light infrastructure to be able to deploy this. And the key here is these depots are needed whether or not it's autonomy or manually driven trucks. We just have to be able to make sure we can go lockstep with them as they expand.
A lot of the events that we run into here, they are unknown. A lot of the events that we run into, yeah, we have common occurrences, we have common trials and tribulations, but a lot of the things that happen, they're one-off situations. We have one-off, environment conditions that we deal with. Here you can see that there's a dust storm right now going on. So this is one of the things we have to take into account for. This is one of the things that our trucks are built for. So yeah, with the normality of things and the difference of things, it really comes into play in a day-to-day operation where there is no norm per se, right? We're always in different situations. We have to adapt to those different situations. We have to expect those things that are unknowingly going to happen. They're eventually going to happen. And this makes a significant difference in the way we do our operations, right? We can't always plan for everything, but what we do have the ability to do is adapt to those differences, adapt to those changes. We have the manpower, we have the tools, we have everything we need to be successful in these changing, ever-changing environments and conditions.
You see well sites go up and down. The need for sand happens in 3 to 5 week cycles. So our product was actually pretty well defined for this, the way we started with our dynamic mapping system instead of the old HD mapping system, to be able to say, hey, this new route needs to come up, because a lot of times we're getting prepared for a route while we're already running another route. So for us, it was really about how the core founders of Kodiak created a very nimble product from the get-go, which allowed us to address exactly what we needed to do when this got into this type of dynamic environment. The one great thing about having a customer-owned asset is while we are planning the product lifecycle, that is directly given from the customer. So when they say they need feature A, we work with them to be able to know what's the impact, how important is this going to be, so we can put it on a roadmap and deliver it in the time frame they want. We're literally delivering the product as desired by the customer, not the product as desired by our internal team.
Well, that was our field report from the Permian Basin. Really impressive to see the operations that Kodiak is deploying there with their partner, Atlas Energy. This field report, we thought we ended a little differently with some history facts about the Permian Basin. Did you know the Permian Basin is actually 2,000 to 4,000 feet above sea level? And it covers West Texas and parts of southeastern New Mexico. Furthermore, this is really interesting. Did you know that about 250 to 300 million years ago, the Permian Basin was a massive ocean during the Permian geologic period? The entire desert was covered by a massive shallow inland sea surrounded by giant reefs. When the sea eventually dried up, the dead marine life and reefs were buried under millions of years of sediment. Yeah, it's hot out there. Pressure cooked them into the massive fossil fuel reserves we have today. That's the Permian Basin. Today it's a hot desert. 250 to 300 million years ago, it was an ocean. Now it's going autonomous. The future is bright. The future is autonomous. The future is Kodiak.
Billions and soon trillions in value will be created in the autonomy economy. By the time a trend becomes consensus, the alpha is already gone. The gap between uncovering signals and reading headlines is widening fast. When it's a headline, it's no longer a signal. Enter Autonomy AI. We decode signals before they move markets, giving you conviction in the autonomy economy. Autonomy AI. Your models, our intelligence. Visit AUTNMY.ai.